Good morning, students. Myself, Dr. Vijender Singh Tamar, Associate Professor. Presently, I have been posted at Government College Gudha in Janano district. Well, during the series of video lectures which I am now giving you, I have told you that in English literature, there are certain literary devices which are used by the poets or authors, and a person who wants to understand English literature or any literature should be well acquainted with those literary devices. These devices can be into literary terms, they can be literary figure of speech, maybe, but one should be familiar with them in order to understand English literature. So, in this connection, today I am taking up two figure of speech. One is hyperbole, another is pun in this lecture. The first is hyperbole. What is hyperbole? Hyperbole is a literary term, or we can say literary device, which is often used by poets, and we notice it in our day-to-day life also. So from the literary point of view, first we should understand it. It is a figure of speech. What is a figure of speech? Figure of speech is a literary device, is a method, or is a way adopted by the poets that they use language in such a way that the meaning become clear, vivid, language become impressive, graphic, that the reader or the audience can understand it easily without any difficulty. That is called a figure of speech. Now let us come to our term hyperbole. We should know hyperbole is a word which consists of two words. First is hyper, which means beyond, and another is below, which means through. If we combine it, it means hyperbole literally means a throwing beyond. Sometimes we use it now, stop, you are throwing it up, crossing all the limits, etc. About our prime minister, about our leaders, sometimes it is used. Professor M.H. Abraham has also defined this figure of speech, and what he says, the figure of speech called hyperbole, Greek for overshooting, is a bold overstatement or the extravagant exaggeration of fact or possibility. Means which is the thing which is represented by the poet is smaller or bigger than the really the thing is called hyperbole. Now, as a figure of speech, it may be used either for serious or ironic or comic effect. Sometimes suppose a lean and thin person is going and we say that that person is Dara Singh. It means we are using ironic effect. We do not want to say the same meaning, the reader understand, he should understand in the opposite meaning. Now if we read or if we analyze the John Donne's poems, he has made ample use of hyperboles in his poems. For example, in his poem entitled Go and Catch a Falling Star, he has used hyperboles. That a faithful and beautiful woman is impossible on this earth, and for this purpose he has used many hyperboles, that you can catch a falling star, you can know where all the past years have gone, etc., etc. But that is a use of hyperbole has been made very effectively by John Donne. Another example is Andrew Marvell's poems to his choir mistress. He has also used hyperboles, that the lover says that if he has ample time and space, he would have devoted 100 years to admire each parts of the body of the beloved. So that is the use of hyperboles. That is, they have expressed the thing more bigger than was really is. So now hyperboles have been used by the poets for which purpose? For what purpose? To decorate their language, to make it very impressive. Meaning become more vivid and clear, increase its force and effectiveness, that the listener or the audience is at once get impressed. And we know it is a figure of speech. By increasing the beauty of language, the use of figures provide great aesthetic satisfaction to the reader. Reader get a kind of pleasure, and that pleasure makes him to admire the author. Now let me give you some examples of hyperbole. The waves rose mountains high. This is hyperbole statement. Similarly, another example, as many farewells as there be stars in the heaven. It is also hyperbole. I beg 1,000 pardons. I have told you 1,000,000 times not to use that word. Here is the smell of blood still. All the perfumes of Arabia will not sweeten this little hand. This statement was made by Macbeth, William Shakespeare's character. And the hand is a small place, and he has used that the perfumes which is available in all the Arab countries will not be able to remove the bad smell. Now let us come to the next figure of speech, that is pun. Pun is also used in our life, in day-to-day life, and we are well acquainted with it. But from the literary point of view, it is also a figure of speech that is used in such a way that the language become more effective, impressive, vivid, graphic, so that meaning is understood by the listener easily. What is pun? Pun denotes plays on words that are either identical in sound or very similar in sound, but are sharply diverse in meaning. Means two words. If we go by the sound, we find them they are the same thing. But if we go by the meaning, they have different meanings. And if we apply one meaning, the meaning will be something different, and the second meaning will change the whole meaning. For example, Oscar Wilde's famous play, comedy, The Importance of Being Earnest. On the last word, earnest, there is a pun. Earnest is a name also, and earnest means serious also, and there is a lot of enjoyment on this play. In this play, we see puns have often had serious literary uses. The author have made use of pun for serious purposes in their compositions. Pun consists in a play on various meanings of a word and is seldom used except as a joke. The Collins Dictionary explains pun in these words, defines the words, give the definition of pun. A pun is a use of words that have more than one meaning, or words that have the same sound but different meanings, so that what you say has two different meanings and make people laugh. Means you say something and people understand something different. For example, let us understand it by keeping in view some example. First, is life worth living? That depends on the liver. Now, liver, there is a pun on the liver. Liver has two meanings. One is it is an organ of our body, and another it means a person who lives. So the person who will listen it may interpret the first meaning or the second meaning, and this is called pun. Similarly, another example, my dog is a champion boxer. Now there is a pun on the word boxer. It has two meanings. First is boxer is a sports person. He can be a sports person. And the second is a breed of dog with short light brown hair and a flat face and nose. So if the interpreter uses the first meaning, he will have different meaning, and the second means second meaning. Shakespeare has also made use of pun in his plays, Julius Caesar, Macbeth. For example, the present play which we are taking example is Romeo and Juliet. Mercutio, bleeding to death, says, ask for me tomorrow and you shall find me a grave man. Here, the grave means a person is busy in digging the grave for others and himself in the grave. There are two meanings. And John Donne said him to God the Father in a religious poem. Puns throughout on his name, because his name also done D-O-N-N-E, and there is a past participle of the verb do, D-O-N-E, and he makes use of pun throughout that these two words in his poem. Now, a special type of pun known as equivoque is the use of a single word or phrase which has two disparate meanings in the context, which makes both meanings equally relevant. Means sometimes a word has more than one meaning, and in a particular structure or situation, both meanings are equally possible. So that will also give the example of pun. An example is the epithet suggested for a bank teller. For example, he checked his cash, cashed in his checks, and left his window. Who is next? Here is another example. An ambassador is a gentleman who lies abroad for the good of his country. Here is a pun on the word lie. We know lie has two meanings. Lie means taking rest. Live means, if we take this meaning, it means an ambassador is a person who lives in abroad for the benefit of his native motherland. And the second meaning of lie means a person who tells lies. If we apply this meaning, it means an ambassador is a person who tells lies abroad, that in foreign country, for the good of his country. So this is called pun. In short, we can say that when a writer or person uses the same word in two or more senses in order to make the people laugh or to enrich the language, the figure of speech is called pun. Pun is used very effectively by various writers, and William Shakespeare, John Donne, Barlow, and when poets have also made use of it very effectively. So one should understand what is pun. Pun means one word, two meanings. It can have the same spelling with two meanings or identical sound. It creates sometimes a situation of laughter, sometimes serious, sometimes it becomes very difficult to interpret the real message which is conveyed by the speaker. Thank you very much.